Greetings friends. Problems are opportunities and everybody has problem in their life, be it career, be it personal. So today in this video, I'd like to share some tools which are considered to be specifically to be used for solving the problems. These are techno-managerial tools which are used by industries, which are used by professionals, which are used by management consultants also for solving the problems. So presenting before you the 7 QC tools. QC stands for quality control. They are very specific quality control tools, thus the article D has been used here. There are other management tools related to problem solving also, which are termed as new age quality control tools. But what I'm talking about specifically is the older ones, which have been completely, exhaustively demonstrated and used by industry. So to begin with, let's take an example of searching a problem, an opportunity which has to be encashed and improved. There is a company which is facing a lot of rejection in a particular lot. The question arises, how to identify the root cause? What is the basic reason of the rejection of the lots? So my 7 QC tools will start from this point. To sail through the journey, I'll first try to explain the basic importance of these 7 tools along with their names. The 7 tools, to name them, are, first one is Ishikawa diagram, also termed as fishbone diagram. It is named after the developer Dr. Koru Ishikawa of Japan. This is also termed as root cause analysis or root cause diagram. It is termed as fishbone diagram because it is a resemblance to the structure of the fish bone. The next in the series of importance comes as Pareto analysis or Pareto diagram. Again, developed by a scientist called Pareto. And it is basically based upon 80-20 rule, the Marxist theory, which says 80% of the wealth is accumulated with only top 20% people of the world. Similarly, the 80-20 rule says 80% of the problems can be solved by 20% causes only. Next in the series comes is check sheets. Check sheets are of different type and they become very, very prominent while managing the things, while controlling the data, while gathering the data. Now the check sheets are having a different standard altogether and they are developed by the end users with their own convenience. So as such, no standard format. Depending upon the availability and requirement of the data, the check sheets are designed. Check sheets could be as simple as a sheet which helps you to understand your requirement and understand pack a luggage as well, and identify if you have forgotten something to keep in. Next in the series is flowcharts. The flowcharts are the common flowcharts which we are already acquainted with. This will help you to demonstrate the process, understand the process, demonstrate the process, and identify the problem with the process. Flowcharts are also sometimes replaced with the help of run charts in 7 QC tools. In run charts, we take the observations for particular days, particular time, and corresponding readings and just present them over a XY scale. These are run charts. This will help us to understand the trend of the problem. Next comes our control chart, which is a wide series of charts which helps in understanding the process flow and controlling the process. These are based upon the readings, specification limits and control limits that we'll be discussing later. Another method of representing the data with the help of these 7 QC tools is histograms. Histograms are quite different from bar graphs. In histograms, we talk about the relationship between the readings and observations and the control values, while bar graph represents the relationship between two variables. Last in the series are scatter charts. This will help you to understand the relationship between two different variables of a process. There could be positive relationship, there could be negative relationship, there could be zero relationship, there could be somewhat relationship also. So these scatter charts will help us in understanding these kind of relationships. So let's take a hypothetical problem. As I said in the beginning, there is a problem of lot rejection in a, say, engine assembly company, and they are facing the problem because of certain unknown reasons. The plant manager has been deployed and has been assigned this duty to trace the reason and improve the rejection rate. For that, the plant manager's thinks of applying these 7 QC tools and makes a blueprint. The blueprint will start with identifying the root cause, and for that, fishbone diagram or 7 QC tools has been used by the concerned person. So how would it look like? It would look like the head of the fish and the skeleton. At the position of the head of the fish, you will be mentioning the root, the effect, the basic effect, say rejection, lot rejection. Usually 4 M's or 6 M's are made as the basic skeleton parts of this fishbone diagram. 4 M's are men, machine, method, and another one is termed as environment, which in terms of M is called mother nature. So there could be a number of problems related to men, related to mother nature, that is environment, method, machine, etc., which is ultimately causing the problem, that is lot rejection. Now this is the problem, this is your main, or what you call as primary reasons. Now these primary reasons are supplemented by secondary reasons, which are shown on primary reasons with the help of the arrows. Say men, related to men, training, untrained, unskilled. Unskilled men could be a reason. The people who are assembling the engine could be unskilled. They don't have that kind of training which was required for the assembly. Or lack of manpower could be the reason. The lack of manpower could relate to the problem of men in a way that since the manpower is less and it's required to carry on the production for a longer period of time, and undue overtimes are being levied over men, reducing their productivity and efficiency. So there could be secondary reasons, primary reasons, secondary reasons associated with the root cause. Not only this, proper brainstorming will lead us to understanding of the tertiary reasons also, and which can be again represented on the secondary reasons with the help of the arrows. Now, say unskilled. The tertiary reason could be maybe it is related to your HR professional department, and they say that they have still not provided the required training. Lack of training programs. Suitable one, apt training programs for the people. In this way, this entire structure can be developed and every root cause of the problem can be explored. This will lead us to development of the fishbone diagram. This is not limited to 4 M's or 6 M's only. Fishbone diagram can be made with the help of P's also, process, etc., product, or other factors also can be included here. But usually what we follow is 4M or 6M model for fishbone diagram. Next in the series of fishbone diagram, say once you have identified as the root cause, what do you need to do? You need to attack that root cause. Or if you have got multiple reasons, then you need to understand what reason is of the most importance. Maybe you will have to prioritize the reasons. For prioritizing, the 80-20 rule has been used. Now, say in this problem of lot rejection with reference to the assembly of the engines, the root cause that has been identified maybe was related to men only. Now, the sub-reasons or secondary reasons for this problem are listed. Say lack of training program, and then unskilled laborers, and then men hours, etc. And the actual rejections which has been formed because of any of these kind of reasons are noted here. These can be noted with the help of the third important tool, that is check sheets. Now say I'm trying to analyze the failure of the engines. And I understand the first engine that was failed was because of unskilled labor. So I'll use my tally chart notation here for making the check sheets. I'll put 1 here for making the frequencies. Maybe the second engine was failed because improper training was imparted. I'll put 1 tally chart symbol here. Accordingly, 1, 2, 3, 4 engine 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 maybe. This way, so I'll collect the total frequency. Say this comes out to be 5, this comes out to be 10, out of say total 20 engines that have been rejected. So now I can easily understand. I have used the check sheets to prepare the frequency charts. Now I can easily understand that majority of the engines are being failed. 50% of the engines are being failed because of this reason. So I'll have to attack this. So this is given by Pareto chart. A Pareto chart can be easily made with the help of MS Excel tool, features of data analysis, and it will look like something like this. You will have x-axis and y-axis, and over x-axis you will be giving the reasons, say lack of training program, and here in the frequency, the defects caused by lack of training program will be represented with the help of the bar. What we need to take caution of is that these bars will be either in descending order or can be in ascending order. That means now with the help of the 80-20 rule, you will be having another axis here which will be representing the percentage. So if this is 100%, 80% will somewhere lie here. A line from 80% intersecting this curve will tell you as how many reasons do you need to attack to limit your rejections to a level of 20% only. This can be easily done with the help of the Pareto charts. So 3 important tools that we have discussed by now are fishbone diagram, Pareto diagram, and check sheets. What I am trying to do is I am trying to correlate all the kind of tools together with the help of the same problem so that you can easily interpret and start applying them in your problem solving. Fine. In the process of engine assembly only, I realized that lack of training program is the major root cause which I need to attack as per my Pareto diagram. What next I need to understand? I need to understand the process flow. I need to understand why there is a lack of training program. So I'll jump into HR department. I'll try to investigate what is their process flow. Why they are not in a state to provide apt number of training programs for the labor there. And the process flow can be easily represented with the help of the simple flow chart. For the flow charts, the basic symbols that we use are the oval shape for making the start and end points, rectangles for the process, a rectangle with the wavy edge for the documentation of the corresponding process, a diamond or a rhombus for decision, and arrows for making the connections. So we shall be using these kind of symbols for making the process flow chart. I am trying to investigate the problem of lack of training program. I had been to HR department. In the HR department, I investigated their process and I understood that the process starts for going for a training program. The process starts with the advertisement. So I'll make a start button here. I am the HR department manager and I have received the one of the requirements from my production manager that a particular kind of training is required to be imparted for this kind of people. So I have received this problem, then I have started my flow chart. Start. The first process may be advertise or invite quotations. right? You will have to do the corresponding documentation, so better to represent it with the help of a daily edge. Then receive quotations, proposals rather, techno-commercial proposals. Then it may be scrutinize them, and if you have to scrutinize, you will have to take the decisions. Scrutinize, not good, reject, good, accept, conduct program, receive feedback, and end. And this end will come and join here. So this is their standard maybe process flow for the sake of providing or inviting trainings from outside agencies. There could be a flaw in this process flow, or there could be a burden over this point only. So I can understand it better. Why is it that despite having an okay kind of process flow, why I am not in a state to get the training programs from HR department? This has to be scrutinized properly and understood. The data can help me synthesize things, but the first and foremost thing will be that I'll be requiring the basic process flow to understand it. So flowcharts will be of two types, the existing one and the suggested one. Maybe at the end of my study I may realize that my method of making the decision is not up to the mark, and there is a flaw in this method, and I have given certain suggestions to improve this method. So I'll be proposing a different flowchart which should be there to incorporate these problems, the solution of these problems, and put it in the feature. So this is how a flowchart will work. In many cases, 7QC tools, for the 7QC tools, instead of flowcharts, you will get to see a term called run charts. Run charts are also the kind of process flow only, but this is something qualitative. Moreover, run chart will be basically quantitative, wherein observations will be recorded. You will be getting the observations, and maybe on a time scale, you will be representing them the observations. X-axis and Y-axis. Over X-axis, you have got time scale, maybe weekly, week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, 5, 6, 7, and maybe the property of interest you are interested in analyzing is hardness. So if you are, the y-axis will be representing the frequency, and in frequency maybe you get here some plots here. So the run charts will help you understand the trend. So here what I realize, there is no specific trend out of this, but if certain trend is seen in the run chart, I will be in a state to understand that my process is drifting somewhere. So run chart will help me to understand the basis of the process. It has got nothing to do with the control charts, it has got nothing to do with the control limits, it has nothing to do with the control of the process. But it's just understanding the flow of the process. How is it working? Something similar to the process flow chart. But the only difference, as I said, was quantitative and qualitative. Next in the series, I will not talk about the control charts because it's exhaustive. I will be covering this at the end of the video. Prior to that, I will talk about histograms. What are histograms? Histograms are a representation of the data with the help of the bars. And why are they required? They are required to study a single property or single variable of interest and its behavior. How is it behaving? This will, in a sense, help you to understand the distribution of the data. If some histograms are built like this, I can understand it is somewhat following a normal distribution curve. And if I superimpose specification limits over here, say this is a lower specification limit and upper specification limit, I can very easily understand the behavior of my process with respect to the specification limits. I can conclude that majority of the readings, majority of the observations or the products being formed are at the center value of between the specification limits. So this is how histograms will work. As I said, histograms are different from bar charts. A histogram will help you to understand and identify only a single variable, while bar charts will compare maybe two variables of interest. A bar without shade, a bar with the shaded portion represents two different properties, and you can compare these properties easily. You can understand as the basic property increases, maybe this is also increasing somewhat. But the basic difference between the bar chart and histogram will be that histograms will be used for understanding the process flow and the behavior, the distribution of the data, while bar charts will be comparing two different variables. In this series, we have got scatter charts also. For the scatter charts, they will help you to understand the relationship between two variables. You can have some positive relationship between the two variables when plotted on xy axis. You can have some negative relationship. You can have some no relationship. So scatter charts help us to really identify if one variable has some impact over the other variable. The last in the series are termed as control charts. Control charts are the standard methods which help us to control the process flow, and not only control, they bring the process in statistical limits and statistical process control. So you will be having specification limits with you, which are something given by the buyer or the end user for a product, and you will be having some control limits with you, which are the behavior of your process, your machinery, your equipment, what best they can do. Control charts will not have anything to do with the specification limits. They will be talking about control limits. They will be telling you the process, how good your process is, what best your process can do. Control charts will be made with the help of upper control limit and lower control limit, and a central line. On the x-axis, you will have again readings related to your time plots, and on the y-axis, you have the frequency. The property of interest you are understanding, you are trying to investigate, the frequency of the same will be plotted on the control limits for corresponding to every time frame. Again, if these go out of the control limits, so you may conclude, it's not very general to conclude it this way, but as a heuristic we can say, if it goes out of the control limits, you may conclude that it is not in control. But if it is randomly distributed, this data is randomly distributed between upper control limit and lower control limit, it can be said to be in control. So once you are acquainted with all these 7 QC tools, you can use either all of them or some of them in identifying the problem, which is an opportunity, and trying to eliminate it to improvise the process and make it more efficient. The details of every tool will be shared in the upcoming videos. Thank you so much. Preparation? कोई नहीं सर, वो तो एडिट कर देंगे। कहाँ से बंद होगा ये?